The rescue that changed. Everything. Captain Marcus Stone never expected his routine patrol through the Nexus sector to turn into a rescue mission. The distress signal came from a damaged Zeridian transport ship, its hull breached and life support failing. Through the swirling debris field, Marcus could see 3 escape pods drifting helplessly toward a nearby asteroid field. "This is Captain Stone of the UES Valiant," he broadcast. "We're moving to assist." The first pod contained Princess Vyra Thalon, eldest daughter of the Zeridian royal house. Her silver skin was marked with cuts, and her violet eyes blazed with fierce determination despite her injuries. The second pod held Princess Kira Thalon, the middle sister, whose tactical mind had kept them alive during the attack. The third carried Princess Nyx Thalon, youngest but deadliest, her warrior training evident in every movement. As Marcus carried the wounded Vyra to the medical bay, she gripped his arm with surprising strength. "You saved us," she whispered, her melodic voice filled with gratitude. "By Zeridian law, you have claimed the right of protection." Marcus frowned, not understanding the weight of her words. "I was just doing my job, Your Highness." Kira, overhearing from her medical bed, exchanged a meaningful glance with Nyx. "He doesn't know," she said softly in their native tongue. "Know what?" Marcus asked, his universal translator picking up fragments. Vyra's cheeks flushed a deeper, silver. "Nothing of immediate concern, Captain. We are simply grateful for your intervention." The Zeridian attackers had been mercenaries hired by a rival house seeking to eliminate the Thalon bloodline. As Marcus coordinated with Zeridian authorities, he noticed the 3 sisters often spoke in hushed tones, stealing glances at him when they thought he wasn't looking. "Captain." Vyra approached him on the bridge 3 days later, her ceremonial robes rustling. "We must discuss something of great importance." Marcus turned from the navigation console, noting how the other 2 sisters flanked Vyra, all 3 wearing expressions of nervous determination. "When you rescued us," Vyra began carefully, "you initiated an ancient Zeridian custom. The rite of salvation creates a bond between the rescuer and the rescued." "A bond?" Marcus raised an eyebrow. Kira stepped forward, her analytical nature taking over. "In our culture, when someone saves the life of a royal daughter, they become bound to her protection. It's an old law, but still binding. And since we're sisters," Nyx added with a slight smirk, "the bond extends to all 3 of us." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. "What exactly does this bond entail?" The 3 sisters exchanged another look before Vyra spoke again. "Marriage, Captain Stone. By saving our lives, you've essentially proposed to all 3 of us according to Zeridian royal law." The bridge fell silent except for the hum of the ship's engines. Marcus stared at the 3 alien princesses, his mind racing. "Marriage? To all 3 of you?" "It's an honor, actually," Kira said quickly. "Royal consorts are highly respected in our society." "But I'm human," Marcus protested. "Surely your laws don't apply to off-worlders." Nyx grinned, revealing sharp canine teeth. "They do if the off-worlder accepts the responsibility of protection, which you did when you pulled us from those pods." Marcus rubbed his temples, feeling a headache coming on. "This is insane." "Is the thought of being bound to us so terrible?" Vyra asked, a hint of hurt in her voice. Looking at the 3 beautiful, intelligent, and clearly dangerous women before him, Marcus realized his life had just become infinitely more complicated. But as he met each of their gazes, he also realized he didn't entirely mind the prospect. "We need to talk," he said finally. Understanding the bond, the next morning found Marcus in his quarters, staring at a datapad filled with Zeridian marriage customs. The 3 sisters had given him the night to process the situation, but sleep had been impossible. Now they sat across from him in his personal cabin, waiting for his response. Let me understand this correctly, Marcus began, setting down the pad. In Zeridian culture, saving a royal life creates an unbreakable marriage bond? Not just any marriage bond, Vira corrected. A protection bond. It means you've accepted responsibility for our safety, our honor, and our lives. Kira leaned forward, her analytical mind working. The law was created centuries ago when our people were constantly at war. It ensured that those who risked their lives for royalty would be rewarded and bound to the royal house. But 3 wives? Marcus asked, still struggling with the concept. Royal sisters share everything, Nick said simply. Power, responsibility, and yes, consorts. It prevents political divisions and strengthens the bloodline. Marcus stood and paced to the viewport, watching the stars streak past as they traveled towards Zeridia Prime. What if I refuse? You can't, Vira said softly. The bond was formed the moment you touched me to carry me to safety. Refusing it now would be seen as a grave insult to our house and could start a diplomatic incident. Besides, Nix added with a playful grin, why would you want to refuse? We're quite a catch. Despite his confusion, Marcus found himself smiling. I don't doubt that, but I know nothing about your culture, your customs. I'm a ship captain, not royalty. That's exactly why this works, Kira explained. You're not bound by our political traditions. You can see clearly, make decisions without the weight of court intrigue. Vira rose and moved to stand beside him at the viewport. The bond isn't just ceremonial, Marcus. We felt it when you saved us. There's a connection, a recognition. Our people believe the universe guides these encounters. You felt something too, Nix observed, studying his face. Don't deny it. Marcus thought back to the moment he'd carried Vera from the pod, the strange sensation of rightness he'd experienced. Maybe I did, but this is moving fast. Royal marriages always do, Kira said pragmatically. The difference is, this one is based on mutual respect and attraction, not political necessity. What would be expected of me? Marcus asked. Protection, loyalty, companionship, Vera listed. In return, you'd have status, wealth, and influence in the Zeridian Empire. And our love, Nix added, her tone surprisingly serious. This bond isn't one-sided, Marcus. We're as committed to you as you are to us. Marcus turned to face all 3 women. Each was beautiful in their own way. Vira with her regal bearing and compassionate nature, Kira with her sharp intellect and strategic mind, Nix with her warrior spirit and fierce loyalty. The idea of being connected to all 3 was overwhelming but not unappealing. There would be ceremonies, Vira continued. Public recognition of the bond. You'd need to learn our customs, our language. And our people would need to accept a human consort, Kira added. That won't be easy for everyone. But they'll respect strength, Nix said firmly. And you've proven yours. Marcus looked at each of them again, seeing not just alien royalty, but 3 individuals who had been thrust into his life by fate or chance. If I agree to this, what happens to my ship, my crew? You keep them, Vira assured him. A royal consort needs his own command. Your crew would become part of our household guard. Think of it as expanding your responsibilities, Kira suggested. Instead of protecting one ship, you'd protect an entire royal house. And we'd fight beside you, Nix promised. This isn't about you serving us, Marcus. It's about us being stronger together. Marcus felt the weight of decision pressing down on him. This wasn't just about marriage or politics. It was about fundamentally changing who he was and what his life would become. I need time, he said finally. Of course, Vira nodded. But Marcus, don't overthink this. Sometimes the universe provides exactly what we need even when we don't realize we need it. As the sisters left his quarters, Marcus remained at the viewport, watching the stars and wondering if his life was about to become infinitely better or infinitely more complicated. The choice and its consequences. The attack came without warning 3 days later. Marcus was on the bridge reviewing star charts when the tactical officer shouted an alert. "Captain, multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. Configuration unknown, but they're armed." Through the view screen, Marcus watched as 6 sleek vessels surrounded the Valiant. Their hulls bore the crimson insignia of House Corvin, the same rival family that had targeted the sisters before. "They found us," Kira said, appearing on the bridge with her sisters. All 3 were now armed and wearing battle armor. "They won't. Let us reach Zeridia Prime." "This is Captain Marcus Stone of the UES Valiant," he broadcast. "You are threatening a diplomatic vessel. Withdraw immediately." The response came in the form of plasma fire. The ship shuddered under the impact, shields flaring as the enemy weapons struck home. "Return fire!" Marcus commanded. "All hands to battle stations!" The Valiant's weapon systems came online, sending streams of energy toward the nearest attacker, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Marcus could see the tactical display painting, a grim picture. "Their shields are stronger than ours," his weapons officer reported. "We can't penetrate them." "Then we change the game," Nyx said, her warrior instincts taking over. "Marcus, can your ship handle rapid maneuvers?" "She's built for it," Marcus replied, trusting the youngest sister's combat expertise. "Good. Kira, plot me an intercept course." "For their flagship. Vira, can you disrupt their communications?" The 3 sisters moved with perfect coordination, each taking a position on the bridge as if they'd been part of the crew for years. Marcus watched in admiration as they transformed from refugees into a formidable command team. "Their comms are jammed," Vira reported, her fingers dancing over an alien device. "They can't coordinate their attack patterns." "Intercept course laid in," Kira announced, "but it's going to be close. Their weapons will have a clear shot at us." "Let them," Marcus said, understanding the plan. "All power to forward shields. We're going to ram their flagship." The bridge crew looked at him in shock, but Marcus felt oddly calm. This was what the bond meant, complete trust in each other's abilities. The Valiant dove toward the enemy flagship like a missile. Plasma fire erupted around them, battering their shields, but Marcus held course. At the last second, he pulled up sharply, skimming the enemy ship's hull while Nyx fired the main cannons at point-blank range. The flagship's shields collapsed under the concentrated fire, and explosions rippled across its hull. The ship listed heavily, venting atmosphere. "Now!" Kira shouted. "Hit the command tower!" Marcus didn't hesitate. The Valiant's weapons carved through the flagship's superstructure, silencing its guns and sending it spinning into space. The remaining enemy ships hesitated, their coordination broken without their leader. "This is your final warning," Marcus broadcast. "Withdraw or be destroyed." The enemy ships retreated, jumping to hyperspace rather than face the Valiant's unexpected ferocity. As the last ship disappeared, Marcus felt the adrenaline slowly leaving his system. "Outstanding work," Vira said, her voice filled with admiration. "You fought like a true Zeridian warrior." "We all did," Marcus replied, looking at each of the sisters. "That coordination, that trust, I've never experienced anything like it." "That's what the bond means," Nyx explained. "Complete unity in purpose. We didn't just fight beside you, Marcus. We fought as one," Kira nodded, studying the tactical display. "They'll be back with more ships. We need to reach Zeridia Prime quickly." "Agreed," Marcus said. "But first, I need to tell you something." He turned to face all 3 sisters directly. "I accept the bond. Not because I have to, but because I want to. What we just experienced, that's worth fighting for." Vira's face lit up with joy, while Kira smiled with satisfaction. Nyx simply grinned and punched him lightly on the shoulder. "Welcome to the family, husband," she said. The ceremony will have to wait until we reach the capital, Vyra said practically. But the bond is already complete in our hearts and in our actions, Kira added. We fought as one unit today. That's the truest test of any partnership. As the Valiant jumped to hyperspace, carrying them toward their new life together, Marcus realized that sometimes the most important decisions weren't made with the mind, but with the heart. And his heart had already chosen these three remarkable women as his destiny. The stars streaked past, and for the first time since the rescue, Marcus felt truly at peace with his future. The Royal. Wedding and new threats. Zaridia Prime rose before them like a jewel among the stars. The capital world of the Zaridian Empire gleamed with crystalline cities and floating spires that defied gravity. As the Valiant approached the royal docking bay, Marcus could see crowds gathering to witness their arrival. Nervous? Vyra asked, standing beside him on the observation deck. She wore ceremonial robes of silver and blue, her royal status unmistakable. Terrified, Marcus admitted. I'm about to marry 3 alien princesses in front of the entire empire. That's not exactly standard training for a ship captain. Kira joined them, carrying a data pad with ceremony protocols. The ritual is actually quite simple. You pledge protection and loyalty. We pledge our lives and houses to you. Then there's a feast that lasts 3 days. 3 days? Marcus raised an eyebrow. Zaridian celebrations are legendary, Nyx said, appearing in her formal armor. You'll love it. Lots of fighting demonstrations, tactical competitions, and excellent food. The docking sequence completed, and Marcus found himself walking down the Valiant's ramp with his soon-to-be wives. The assembled crowd was massive. Thousands of Zaridians in their finest clothes, royal guards in ceremonial armor, and reporters from across the galaxy. At the center of the reception committee stood Emperor Thalan, the sister's father. He was tall even for a Zaridian, with silver skin that seemed to shimmer and eyes like polished amethysts. His expression was unreadable as Marcus approached. Captain Stone, the Emperor said, his voice carrying clearly across the platform. You have done our house a great service. My daughters speak highly of your courage and honor. Your Majesty, Marcus replied, offering the formal bow Vyra had taught him. I'm honored by their trust. The Emperor studied him for a long moment, then smiled. You fight like a Zaridian, but speak like a diplomat. This gives me hope for our alliance. He gestured toward the palace. Come. The ceremony awaits. The Temple of Bonds was a structure of living crystal that hummed with ancient energy. As Marcus walked down the aisle between rows of nobles and dignitaries, he felt the weight of history pressing down on him. This wasn't just a wedding, it was a political statement, a cultural bridge, and a personal commitment all rolled into one. The ceremony itself was beautiful and surprisingly moving. As the 3 sisters pledged their lives to his protection and he swore to guard them with his own, Marcus felt the bond they'd spoken of solidify into something tangible. It was as if their minds touched briefly, sharing strength and purpose. By the ancient laws of Zaridia, the High Priestess announced, I pronounce you bonded in marriage and purpose. Let none separate what the universe has joined. The celebration that followed was indeed legendary. Marcus found himself competing in tactical simulations with Zaridian officers, sharing war stories with veterans, and slowly winning over the skeptical nobles through his evident devotion to the sisters. But on the second day, Kira pulled him aside with troubling news. Our intelligence network has detected unusual activity, she said quietly, leading him to a private chamber. House Corvin isn't finished with us. They're gathering allies, calling for a formal challenge to your legitimacy. What kind of challenge? Marcus asked. Trial by combat, Nyx said, entering with Vyra. It's an old law, rarely invoked but still valid. They can demand that you prove your worthiness through battle. Against who? Their champion, Vyra replied grimly, Lord Zaxxon Corvin, considered one of the finest warriors in the Empire. He's killed 12 challengers in formal combat. Marcus absorbed this information calmly. When? Tomorrow, if they formally issue the challenge, Kira said. Are you afraid? Not of the fight, Marcus said honestly, but of what happens to you. 3, if I lose. You won't lose, Nick said firmly. We've seen you fight. You have something Zaxxon doesn't. What's that? Us, Vyra said simply. The bond works both ways, Marcus. You'll have our strength, our knowledge, our will. We'll be fighting with you even if we can't be beside you. The challenge came that evening, delivered with great ceremony during the feast. Lord Zaxxon Corvin was a massive Zeridian, nearly 7 feet tall with scars covering his arms, and a reputation for brutal efficiency in combat. Human, he said, his voice dripping with disdain. You pollute our royal bloodline with your presence. I challenge your right to bond with the daughters of Thalon. Marcus rose slowly, feeling the eyes of the entire assembly on him. I accept your challenge, Lord Zaxxon. Name your terms. Single combat, traditional weapons, fight to yield or death. Agreed. Marcus turned to the Emperor. Your Majesty, I request permission to choose my weapon. Granted. Marcus smiled. I choose the battle space. The challenge arena was a holographic environment that could simulate any battlefield. As the two combatants faced each other, Marcus felt his wife's presence through the bond, Vyra's wisdom, Kira's tactical brilliance, and Nyx's warrior fury all flowing into him. The battle was fierce and fast. Zaxxon was powerful and experienced, but Marcus fought with the combined knowledge of 3 military minds guiding his every move. When Zaxxon lunged, with his energy blade, Marcus countered with Nyx's favorite disarming technique. When the Zeridian tried to overwhelm him with brute force, Marcus used Kira's tactical knowledge to turn the arena's terrain against his opponent. The end came suddenly. Zaxxon, frustrated by Marcus's unexpected skill, overextended in a killing blow. Marcus sidestepped, grabbed his opponent's weapon arm, and used Vera's diplomatic training to offer mercy instead of death. Yield, Marcus said, his blade at Zaxxon's throat. You fought with honor, but this ends now. Zaxxon stared at him in shock, then slowly nodded. I yield. You fought like 3 warriors at once. I had help, Marcus said, looking up at the viewing platform where his wives watched with pride and love. As the crowd erupted in cheers, Marcus realized that his new life was going to be full of challenges. But with Vyra, Kira, and Nyx beside him, he was ready for anything the universe could throw at them. The United Future 6 months later, Marcus stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned ZES Unity, a hybrid vessel combining human and Zeridian technology. The ship represented everything their marriage had accomplished, a fusion of 2 cultures creating something stronger than either could achieve alone. Captain, his communications officer reported, we're receiving a distress call from the Outer Rim. A convoy of refugee ships is under attack by raiders. Marcus looked at his 3 wives, each now holding official positions in their shared command structure. Vyra served as diplomatic liaison, Kira as chief tactical officer, and Nyx as head of security. The integration had been seamless, their bond making them an incredibly effective team. Analysis? He asked. 23 ships in the convoy, mostly civilian families fleeing the border conflicts, Kira reported, her fingers dancing over the tactical display. 6 raider vessels heavily armed. The convoy's escorts are outgunned. ETA to intercept? Marcus inquired. 47 minutes at maximum speed, Nyx replied. But the convoy won't last that long. Marcus made the decision that had become second nature over the past months. All hands to battle stations, maximum speed, signal the fleet, Unity Squadron, form up on us. The Unity Squadron was Marcus's Innovation. A mixed force of human and Zeridian ships that had proven devastatingly effective against pirates and raiders. The crews had learned to work together, combining human ingenuity with Zeridian warrior traditions. As they dropped out of hyperspace near the embattled convoy, Marcus could see the raiders already closing in for the kill. The escort ships were burning wrecks, and several civilian vessels showed hull breaches. Nix, deploy the boarding teams. Kira, coordinate with the squadron. Vyra, open a channel to the raiders. This is Captain Marcus Stone of the Zeridian Royal Navy, Vyra broadcast, her diplomatic skills giving her words perfect authority. You are attacking protected civilians under the Treaty of Safe Passage. Surrender immediately or face the consequences. The raider response was predictable. More weapons fire directed at the helpless convoy ships. I tried diplomacy, Vyra said with a slight smile. Now we do this Nix's way. The battle was swift and decisive. The Unity Squadron moved like a perfectly coordinated dance, human ships providing covering fire while Zeridian vessels delivered devastating close-range attacks. Marcus's flagship led the charge, its hybrid weapon systems proving superior to anything the raiders possessed. Within minutes, 3 raider ships were disabled and the others were fleeing into hyperspace. The convoy was safe, though several ships needed immediate medical assistance. Deploy rescue teams, Marcus ordered. Full medical support for the wounded. As rescue operations began, Marcus received an unexpected communication. Emperor Thalen's face appeared on the main screen, his expression proud. My son, the Emperor said, using the title that still made Marcus feel honored. The Senate has reached a decision regarding your proposal. Marcus straightened. For months, he'd been advocating for the creation of a joint human-Zeridian defense force, arguing that their combined strengths could bring peace to the troubled border regions. The proposal is approved, the Emperor continued. Admiral Stone, you are hereby appointed to command the new Allied Defense Fleet. Congratulations. The bridge erupted in cheers from both human and Zeridian crew members. Marcus felt his wives' joy through their bond, their pride in his achievement mixing with his own satisfaction. Thank you, Your Majesty, Marcus replied formally. I won't disappoint you. You never have, the Emperor said warmly. Your marriage has brought our peoples closer than 3 centuries of diplomacy ever did. The universe chose well when it brought you to my daughters. As the communication ended, Vyra moved to stand beside Marcus. Admiral Stone, she said with a teasing smile. I like the sound of that. It's only possible because of you 3, Marcus replied honestly. This bond we share, it's changed everything. Not just for us, but for our entire civilizations. Kira nodded, studying the tactical reports from their recent victory. The raiders are becoming bolder, more organized. Someone's funding them, giving them better ships and weapons. Which means we'll need to be better too, Nix added. Good thing we're just getting started. Marcus looked out at the stars, thinking about the journey that had brought him here. 6 months ago, he'd been a simple ship captain. Now he was a royal consort, a fleet admiral, and part of something larger than himself. What are you thinking about? Vyra asked, sensing his contemplation through their bond. How one rescue mission changed the course of galactic history, Marcus replied. If I hadn't answered that distress call, you would have, Kira said confidently. It's who you are, Marcus. The universe doesn't make mistakes. Besides, Nix grinned. Imagine how boring our lives would be without you. As the Unity Squadron formed up around them and jumped to hyperspace, heading toward their new headquarters, Marcus reflected on the truth of Zeridian beliefs. Sometimes the universe did provide exactly what was needed, even when no one realized they needed it. His marriage to 3 alien princesses had seemed impossible at first, but it had evolved into something beautiful and powerful. Together, they were creating a future where humans and Zeridians could stand as equals, their combined strengths protecting the innocent and bringing justice to the galaxy. The bond that had begun with a simple rescue had become something that would reshape the stars themselves, and Marcus Stone, once a humble ship captain, now stood ready to lead that transformation alongside the three remarkable women who had become his wives, his partners, and his destiny. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, full of challenges and possibilities, and Marcus couldn't wait to face them all with Vira, Kira, and Nyx at his side.